Imagine this. You're at your villa, relaxing by the pool, when a woman you've never seen before walks in and slips into the water. She's calm, confident, but there's something about her that doesn't feel right. You call the cops, thinking she's an intruder, but you've just made a huge mistake. She's not just any woman. She's the CIA's top agent, and your call has just put you in the crosshairs of a global conspiracy. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories just like this one. It was a hot summer afternoon, the kind where the sun beat down relentlessly on everything it touched. Ethan Michaels, a wealthy businessman in his late 30s, was lounging by the pool in his luxurious villa, soaking up the rays in his designer shorts and aviator sunglasses. His mind was consumed by business deals, conference calls, and the usual pressures that came with managing his empire. Life was predictable, routine, and that was how he liked it. Everything seemed perfect until it was interrupted by the sight of a woman slipping into the pool. She was a striking black woman, around 30, with an athletic build, wearing a simple yet elegant swimsuit. She looked like someone who had every right to be there, and yet something about her presence didn't sit right with Ethan. He couldn't put his finger on it, but she seemed out of place in the exclusive surroundings of the villa. Ethan continued to observe her from his lounge chair, his gaze shifting from his phone to the woman in the pool. He couldn't deny her beauty and the confidence she exuded, but there was something off about how comfortable she seemed in a place where most people felt the need to be on their best behavior. His mind raced as he found himself growing suspicious, thinking she might be an intruder, someone who didn't belong. After a few moments of indecision, he picked up his phone and dialed the security number, but instead of simply asking for an escort or clarification, he asked them to call the police. A woman was swimming in the pool, and he was sure she didn't have permission to be there. What Ethan didn't know, however, was that this woman wasn't just an ordinary guest enjoying the pool, she was much more than that. Sasha Black, an agent for the CIA, was not there to relax. She was there on a high-stakes mission that could change the course of international security. She wasn't just a woman who looked like she belonged. She was the best in the business, the CIA's top agent, and the person who would later change Ethan's life in ways he could never have imagined. As the police cars rolled up to the villa, sirens blaring, Ethan couldn't help but feel a twinge of unease. He didn't expect the situation to escalate so quickly, but now, as the flashing blue lights illuminated the peaceful street, a feeling of dread settled over him. The officers, unsure of what they were walking into, seemed hesitant at first. A couple of them exchanged glances, not knowing if they were dealing with a trespassing case or something far more serious. The woman, still calmly swimming, didn't seem to care about the approaching officers. She moved through the water effortlessly, her demeanor not shifting in the slightest. The police officers called out to her to step out of the pool, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she rose from the water slowly, dripping wet, her expression calm and controlled. She didn't seem surprised by their presence. Her composure was that of someone who had seen far worse than this. The officers weren't sure what to do. This wasn't your typical trespassing situation, and the woman, although clearly out of place in such a high-end neighborhood, didn't appear to be a criminal. That's when she turned around and locked eyes with Ethan, who was still sitting by the pool. Her gaze was sharp, calculated, and full of authority. She was no ordinary person, and Ethan knew it immediately. "You called the cops on me?" she asked, her voice steady yet commanding. Ethan froze, unsure of how to respond. "I thought you were trespassing," he said, his voice shaking slightly. His heart raced as he watched the woman approach him, her steps deliberate and confident. She didn't say anything at first, just stared at him with an intensity that made Ethan feel exposed, like she could see right through him. "You have no idea who I am, do you?" she finally asked. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The woman smiled, but there was no humor in it, only a cold recognition of his ignorance. "I'm Sasha Black," she said. "And you, Ethan Michaels, just became part of a much bigger situation than you could possibly understand." Confusion flooded his mind. Sasha Black? He racked his brain, trying to place the name. The pieces weren't coming together. "What do you mean?" Before he could react, one of the officers, a senior officer named Detective Harper, stepped forward. His face immediately went pale when he saw the woman standing in front of him. Agent Black, he said, his voice suddenly serious. What are you doing here? Sasha gave a subtle nod, as if acknowledging the recognition. I'm not here on vacation, Harper, she replied coolly. Ethan's mind was spinning. Agent Black? The CIA? What the hell was going on? I don't understand, Ethan said, his voice growing more frantic. You're a CIA agent? But what does that have to do with me? Sasha's eyes locked onto his. You've been tracking the wrong people, Ethan. The deals you've been making, the companies you've been involved with, they've drawn the attention of people you never should have crossed. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. What was she talking about? He was a businessman, not some international criminal mastermind, but Sasha wasn't done. She continued, her voice now lower, more serious. You've unknowingly attracted the attention of a powerful criminal syndicate. I've been sent here to protect you. But you don't know what you've gotten yourself into. Ethan stared at her in disbelief. A criminal syndicate. Him. He had always focused on making money, securing deals, and expanding his business. How could he have possibly gotten involved in something so dangerous? Sasha looked at him like she was waiting for him to catch up. It's not too late, but you need to listen. The people after you are far more dangerous than you realize. They've been watching your every move, and now you've become part of a much bigger game. For the first time, Ethan felt a true sense of panic rising in his chest. He wasn't just dealing with business problems anymore, he was dealing with a global network of criminals, and they were closing in on him. His success, his wealth, none of it mattered anymore. He had unknowingly become a target, and now the CIA was his only hope for survival. Sasha spent the next few hours explaining everything, how Ethan's corporate deals had unknowingly crossed paths with the syndicate, how his company had become entangled in a web of espionage, blackmail, and corruption. He had no idea, but now he was trapped in the middle of it all. I didn't ask for this, Ethan said, his voice trembling as the reality of the situation hit him. I know you didn't, Sasha replied, but you're in it now, and you're going to help me stop them. The gravity of her words settled heavily on his shoulders. His life was no longer about making money or expanding his empire. It was now about survival, about stopping a criminal network that had been operating under his nose the entire time. Ethan was no longer just a businessman. He was an unwilling participant in a global operation that would change his life forever. As the days passed, Ethan worked closely with Sasha, learning about the dark world of espionage, training with her, and discovering the lengths people would go to in order to maintain power. He had to make choices that would test his integrity and force him to confront the very things he had ignored in his pursuit of success. In the end, the mission was a success. The syndicate was exposed, its members arrested, and the threat to Ethan's life eliminated. But for Ethan, nothing would ever be the same. He had seen the underbelly of the world, and he understood now that power and wealth meant nothing if they weren't used for the right purpose. As Sasha completed her mission and prepared to leave, Ethan knew that his life had changed forever. He wasn't just a businessman anymore. He was someone who had learned the hard way that sometimes the price of success was far higher than you could ever imagine. And as for Sasha, she disappeared back into the shadows, her job done, but leaving behind a man who would never forget the woman who had shown him that the world was much more complex and far more dangerous than he had ever known. And hey, if you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories just like this one. If you enjoyed this story, drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Don't miss out on the next wild journey. Stay tuned for more, and remember, the truth is out there, waiting to be discovered.